Welcome to Tech and Test, where we unravel the intricacies of technology, delve into the world of software engineering, and challenge the boundaries of software testing. Your host, Peter Johnson, will help you navigate the digital landscape, exploring the latest in tech, sharing insights into software development, and talking to the people that drive our digital world. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to Tech and Test, and welcome to the second episode of Tech and Test. And with me today, I have Raveena. Raveena, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Peter. I'm so glad to be the part of Tech and Test podcast. Really excited to talk about everything testing today.
Thank you. And just so the audience know a little bit about you, how would you describe yourself? What are some of the things you would say?
Oh, well, this is tricky. I have to tell you a lot. So you have to hear the whole podcast to know a lot about me. But to begin with, I'm a small town girl from India who traveled to London just to do testing. So my testing career started back in India, in Delhi, to Bangalore, to London. And here I am sitting as a test manager in one of the amazing retail companies.
Wow. So it's been basically a journey around the world just with testing like following you around, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. So, Raveena, we used to work together a few years ago, and since then you've become a test manager, right? So I'm very interested to know a little bit about what that journey was like, transitioning from a test engineer to becoming a lead in testing.
So I think with experience, you have that quality where you can, train other people and get them at par with, what testing industry brings in. So the knowledge you have gathered over the years, you can now, transmit it to other testers. So that is one thing which led me to become a lead. So I thought I can inspire the young versions of Raveena to come in the industry and, to tell them with my experience and expertise, like, this is how you do it. This is how you can do better in testing. And these are the areas you need to explore and all of that. So I wanted to share that knowledge. And that's when I decided, let's be a lead, and train people as part of my job, if that makes sense.
Awesome. And just like going back, what kind of inspired you to like pursue a career in testing or quality engineering? What were the kind of things that attracted you to this field?
Okay, it's going to be very, very interesting because initially I thought I'm super intelligent, I can do coding and I can be a developer. But that was a big no-no. And that's when, I was pushed into testing. But today I'm glad I was pushed that ways. So initially you think that, oh, you cannot code, so that's why you have to test. But when you come to this field, you explore things and you get to know that it's way beyond just testing, the website or just looking at it. There's so many aspects of it, and with automation, things have become even glamorous, I would say, in the testing world. So my inspiration, as I said, was a sudden kick. I was kicked into testing, you can say that, because I couldn't code, I couldn't develop the code. But over the years, it has become my passion. And today, if you ask me to become something else, it would really be hard and a big no-no from my side.
I see. And you mentioned automation, right? So automation's a very, very big, vast area. There's so many tools and frameworks and people saying they do automation. So what are some of the frameworks that you're using or you'd recommend to folks and for like web projects?
In today's world, I would say go with Cypress or, go with JavaScript based frameworks because they're quite easy to use and they're very handy. And they, even if you're not a code expert, you don't know Java and, you still want to do that automation magic, you can go with that kind of tools. If I talk about slightly old school, like where I come from, we used to do Selenium WebDriver with Java, with Python, and just to take a screenshot, we used to write the whole entire page of code, but things have changed. And now I would say Cypress is the go-to for at least UI testing.
I see. And like, how do you kind of like stay up to date with like changes in the industry and trends? Like what kind of things do you do to remain current and learn new frameworks?
I think LinkedIn Learning has played a massive role in my learning career in terms of testing. Whenever new tools pops in, I get notified that these are the, lessons you can take. And then I have my test connections like yourself. I see the tools you're using, and then I'm intrigued to know more about it and all of that. So yeah.
Awesome. And so, Raveena, what kind of you've had, what seems like a long career in testing, right? And you've traveled the world, and now you're in London for the moment. What kind of challenges have you faced as a test engineer and test lead throughout your career?
So initially, I started as a manual test, consultant, and it's very, very challenging, especially in this world, to be a manual tester. And you are just considered, just another person with no special, how do you say, no special qualifications to do something, right? So you have to increase your knowledge and become the master of automation to be the to climb that ladder of testing, if that makes sense. And then the challenges come with it, like as you mentioned, the tools, they keep changing. You learn Selenium one day, and the next day it's swiped away by JavaScript or some other tools on the way. So yeah, you have to be on top of your knowledge, and you have to keep challenging yourself, keep yourself updated to stay in the market, I would say.
I see. So what you're describing to me is a continuous path of learning. So that's
exactly.
So
Yeah.
would that be something you'd recommend to anyone coming into testing? Like, would that be like an essential that you have to continuously learn and grow and to remain relevant in the industry?
Yes, and the passion of testing, I would say, that's really, really important. You have to have that zeal to find out, bugs and errors, and you need to find out issues, because you do it manually or you do it via automation. The aim has to be to break the code, to crack those code which developers say is perfect, fine tuned, and there you go. You test something and you're like, boom, it's broken, and that's your power as a tester. If you can crack that, if you have that passion to crack that, then you're there. Then you're game.
Got it. And Raveena, like, it's International Women's Day today, right? And you're beaming with a load of confidence today. So how do you gain some of this confidence, and how do you have confidence and keep confidence when you face challenges that you've mentioned, right? With constant change and constant new dynamic environments, right? Which, traveling across the other side of the world takes a lot of confidence to do. So what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
First of all, it's very, very challenging when you begin with, especially, in the tech industry where you are in the meeting most of the times, 10 to 11 guys sitting with you, and you're the only one in tech. So the challenges start from the very beginning. Like in the tech industry, we are trying to come at par, but we still have very less women compared to men. So that's the first challenge, because when you're less in the numbers, you hesitate to ask questions, and then when you say something, you think that it might be understood as stupid, or the questions could be understood like maybe not at par with what's going on in the room. So I think to overcome all of that in your head and just go with the flow, just ask what you have in your mind and just do what you want to do, and thinking that nothing is wrong, like this is your perception, you know so I think that really motivates, like just go with it, just bang it on the door, whatever you're thinking, and not think about the consequences. Don't think about what other people would think about you, because half of the women today, they stop themselves. They're like, oh my god, if I say this or if I do this, this will be perceived as that. But I think we have to overcome all of those things and just go with it.
I see. So really just having that determination and confidence to speak your truth on the matter, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just express yourself and don't think about any question to be stupid or not meant to be. That's your question. Just ask it.
That's really good advice, because I know what you mean. Sometimes in some meeting rooms that I've been in with loads of tech engineers, and they tend to all be men, there's a lot of, it can be a hostile environment sometimes to ask a very trivial basic question like, why are we doing this feature? Who's the customer of this feature? Or maybe, some edge cases or scenarios that we need to understand to put into a testing strategy. Those questions actually help engage and answer. And it can be difficult. I can't imagine what it's like being the only woman in the room sometimes to ask those questions. So it does take a lot of confidence to do that. So yeah, it's good to hear your perspective and your advice that you would recommend. So Raveena, you've mentioned that you've traveled the world and testing has followed you, right? So I think what I'm interested to learn about is how that journey began.
Right. So I started in 2013, and as I mentioned, that I started as a manual tester. I was actually thrown into testing, to be honest. And when I started testing it, gradually I learned that when I'm testing the websites and when I'm finding the bugs, that's exciting me. Like I'm really, really enjoying taking out faults in developers code and then raising them in Jira, if understand the testing language. So that gave me that passion. But when I was doing all this testing in 2013, by 2014 I realized that manual testing was not enough. I need to learn more. And because I did not have opportunities then in my company, they needed experience to do the automation testing. What I did was I did a training outside my company. So I literally paid for that training. I learned coding because I was told you can't code, but I needed to learn coding for automation testing. So I started with Java, and I learned about Selenium. I did Selenium WebDriver with Java, did some automation in that training for a website, and came back more confident in terms of coding and asked my company to give me some coding projects, automation projects. And that's when the opportunity for Bangalore kicked in. So I was in Delhi when I was doing all of that. And I got a very good opportunity in Bangalore because of my automation skills. And that was 2017 when I landed in Bangalore. Now I had a lot of automation experience with me, almost 4 years of it, and that gave me an heads up. And I was now the expert. Now the second thing was to explore more tools, because just learning one tool will not you will not end up anywhere with it. You have to continuously upscale, continuously make sure that you're with the market, what's going on and all of that. So that's when I started learning about robot framework, which was slightly advanced version of Selenium WebDriver, wherein you had the keywords which were doing the testing for you. You don't have to write the entire code for, as I said earlier in my podcast, like for taking screenshots in robot framework. You just literally say take screenshot and that works. So
Right.
things, yeah, you start learning a lot more about automation, and then you explore the tools which works best for you and your team and your project. And then there comes other elements. It's just not the UI testing. You have to test the APIs. You have to touch base with the back end of the beautiful UI you see outside. So I had to explore Postman for API testing. Then in the robot framework itself, I automated the API testing, finding the headers, finding the body and matching it with what I expect. So it was a lot of fun. And manual testing always came hand in hand, because you have to manually test that API to see what's the output and then code it, make it automated. So I will never suggest anyone who's listening to my podcast to just concentrate on automation, because manual testing has to happen for you to automate, isn't it, Pete?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, think about it, right? Like, how the hell do you automate something if the feature doesn't actually work manually, right? So I think it's a very good point. I think sometimes that's not always thought about or discussed enough, that automation of test cases requires a lot of effort and engineering time. And to get the return of investment from that effort, we need to make sure that the product's stable, right? Otherwise, we're not going to be able to have reliable test cases that we can depend on. So very good point there.
Exactly. So where I was in 2017 in Bangalore, doing the robot framework testing, doing the POCs for the clients, and then I happened to meet a client from London who were very impressed by how I was doing the automation for their product, and that's when the opportunities to London opened doors for me, and they invited me to London for working on site. Um, that was it. Like I was so happy, and I was so happy that testing career led me to fly all over to other part of the world, explore, because you never expect something to become your passion like that. Because if you ask me in 12th what in my school days, if you ask me what I wanted to become, I would say maybe a radio or a video jockey or something. But you never expect that something like testing can make you so passionate. But that now if you ask me, do you want to move to radio jockey or something, I'll be like, maybe. I'm very happy with testing. So yeah, that has been my journey, and I came to London in 2019, and today in 2024 I am all settled in here, and I am um exploring more opportunities, and I'm still open to flying to other parts of the world, maybe US.
Wow. Yeah. So it takes a lot of bravery to do that, right? To like leave your own country and to go, I'm going to go the other side of the world and just work there. Like, I don't think everyone can do that. I think it takes a certain kind of person and to have the confidence and to do that, because it really means you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're embracing change, and they're all really good, positive things. And it just, shows us the personality you have, right? With taking that step. And I think testing has obviously made it more easy for you because you've been passionate about it and you've latched on, right?
Yeah, I think if you have that kind of a talent, or I would say the knowledge, then you don't feel inferior when you are in a certain setting of where you have people from other countries, and you think that you are a stranger from some other country, but at the same time you have that knowledge to showcase and to talk about things. So you are the expert in testing, so you're not afraid. You know what I mean? Like, although you're a stranger, you're a person of color sitting in a room, but you never get afraid of anything because of your knowledge. Knowledge can take you places.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so, Raveena, I want to ask, where do you see the future of QA going and test automation going? What do you think the next 5 years will bring?
So, with AI and everything coming in picture, it's gonna be tricky, and it's gonna be interesting in some ways. The things are gonna be. I don't know if they will still need so many of testers. So that's something which worries me,
Right.
with so much of robots coming in the picture doing the job for us humans. So that's something which definitely worries me, but definitely not gonna happen in at least 5 years down the line, because we are still in early stages. We have some tools who are um us humans saying some manual scripts and they converting it into automation scripts, but it's still not concrete. It's still not there yet, and it'll take at least 10 years, if not more, to be at that to be at that place where it can replace us humans to those robots. So we are definitely secure for 5 years down the line.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think like AI is still being developed, right? These large language models, like there's nothing out there that is fully reliable that you can fully depend on, right? Would you write a safety critical system with code generated from AI and not check it at all, right? I think the answer today is no. I think you still need some human in the loop to kind of verify that code is working at least, right? So
Exactly.
if anything, I think with AI, we've got more testing opportunity because now we've got loads of code that's not generated by humans that actually needs to be verified. And whether you do that with another AI or whether you do that with a human is debatable on like how much of that you do it with. But I certainly think like the tooling that we have today is not fully reliable to rely on large language models to generate all the code for us Right. So yeah, I share that opinion, definitely.
And to add to it, I would say that testing is not going anywhere. Like, you need to do testing, whether you're creating a product, whether you're creating a website. The importance of testing need not to say repeat it, because that is something you cannot go live without doing the round of testing with us testers. We have to give that go no go to the clients to make sure that things work. So we have a very, very, very bright future, you guys. If you're listening to Peter's podcast, testing is the future. You have a very bright career in testing for sure.
Wow, very powerful words. Absolutely. I think testing's not going anywhere. I think it's still here. We still need to test products. And if anything, I think more testing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think in some companies, we are not given that much importance. People just code and it is put live. And then the clients tell us, these are the issues and all of that. And that's when they realize the importance of testing. But I believe that testing should be given as much importance as coding or as developing that product or the website, because without testing, you are then jumping in fire because of the bugs which can happen in live environment with the clients, and then your repo is, you can imagine, right? So you have to make sure that you have dedicated testing personals in your teams who are doing that level of testing to give you that high rated product, which can then be deployed to the live environment and be used by clients. That's where I would say user acceptance testing is so important before you go live. And it's very, very disheartening that some places it gets neglected, or it's not thought to be as critical. We testers are given less hours to do that and all of that. They need to understand how important it is to deliver a product in market which is 100% tested. And yeah.
And thank you, Raveena, for coming on episode 2 of Tech and Test. It's very much appreciated that you took your time out today to come on the episode.
Thank you so much, Peter. I would like to thank you for, inviting me to this lovely podcast and the topic of testing, which is so important and neglected most of the times in the tech companies. And one thing I would like to say thanks to you, especially for, revising my entire journey of testing and where I have come from, where I started, from a small town to living in London now, living my dream. So thank you so much.
Amazing. It's great to hear that you're living your dream. And if people want to follow your dream or follow you, right, what sort of social medias are you on?
Absolutely. If you want to have a face to this voice, you can reach out to me on What's Up Raveena. My name is What's Up Raveena on Instagram. You can also find my videos on YouTube with the same name again, What's Up Raveena. And you can find me on Facebook as Raveena Mehta.
Thank you. Amazing. Hello, it's Peter. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tech and Test. I personally appreciate it, and I hope you got something out of it too. If you're interested in subscribing, please do, because then you don't miss any episode I've created. And you can also visit techandtest.co.uk, which has all the episodes that I've created. And you can visit peterintest.com for my personal blog too. So I'll see you on the next episode.